Hello chickies, welcome to the Fully Booked Penguin channel. I am Hannah and today I am reading the library books before they have to go back. I have some books here that I borrowed from the library, which were part of a readathon, and then none of them got picked, and one was picked, but I decided not to read it for the readathon. You know, behind the scenes stuff. So we have A Fragile Enchantment by Alison, Saft, and this is a historical magic realism romance. It says it's YA, but I've also heard spoilers that there might be spice in it, so I'm going to investigate and find out if that's true or not. It follows Niam, who is a renowned dressmaker, and she's tasked with designing the prince's wardrobe for his royal wedding. And she has magic in her blood that can stitch emotions and memories into the fabric. Ooh. At the same time, the magic will eventually kill her. Well, ripperooty! Cursed and alone, Niam finds herself drawn to the prickly cold prince. An unlikely friendship begins to blossom. Of course it does. And there we go. We won't read anything else because I feel like once you get to a certain point, the rest is a bit spoilery. So I sort of cut off around there. Or sometimes I only get through the first paragraph and I'm like, yeah, that's enough. Anyway, so that's our book 1. And then I also have this one. A Girl's Guide to the Outback by Jessica Kate. This is a Christian romance which follows Samuel Payton, who is a successful youth pastor in Virginia, but below the surface, he's still recovering from the blow of a failed business and insecurities he can't shake. His co-worker, startup expert Kimberly Foster, is brilliant, fearless, and capable. Not as capable as me at speaking, but years of personal rejection have left her defensive and longing for a family. Oh my goodness, that seems like a spoiler. So they start off in Virginia and end up on an Australian farm. For some reason, I decided to stop at this certain bit where, like, as I say, first paragraph, that's really all you need to know. Anyway, so they end up in Australia. Who knows what will happen? I just saw that it was a Christian romance that was set partially in Australia, and I was like, you know what, I'll give it a try. And I have to return both by the 3rd. So I've never read anything from this author. I've never read anything quite like it. But it is... oh, there's discussion questions. My goodness. 349 pages for romance. I believe this is just under 400 pages. 370 pages in this one. We'll see how I go. What my thoughts are for a bit of romantic. One's a romantasy. The other's a romance. But I've decided that the library should become my best friend because there I can borrow books without buying them, and I can test drive the books because I am the kind of person that I like to not purchase the books until I know that I like them. I'm more of a trophy collector, so I will buy a book if I've liked it, but I've been bitten too many times by books that I'm like, oh, let me buy this, and then I'm like, oh wow, I do not enjoy this book, and then I have to give it away or donate it or whatever, and I'm like, that's too much hassle for someone who never leaves their house. So I really think the library is a resource that more people should use, especially if they are trophy collectors like me. So let's get to reading then. Okay, I have an update. So, Fragile Enchantment by Alison, Saft is going to be a DNF for me. I think I got to page 80 or just over 20% through. And it's got to be a DNF. I really wanted to like it because I loved the magic seamstress, you know, kingdom sort of vibes that this promised. However, unfortunately, the main problem is that there is content in it. There is swearing, like sexual tension moments where our girl is just admiring the prince's body and all that. And then there is explicit sexual content as well, so obviously that is not kind of content I enjoy. And also it's meant to be a YA, which I therefore disagree with there being spice in YA books. It's just not needed, especially for the younger audience. You can argue that young minds already know, but they shouldn't. At like 12 to whatever it is, they shouldn't. You know, you don't expect kids to be exposed to that all of a sudden. in a book. A lot of people complained that it was slow. I actually don't mind slower books, as long as they're not dragging, because I read like literary fiction and historical fiction, and some of them can drag. I actually thought the pacing was okay. We weren't going anywhere fast, that's for sure. And their relationship wasn't whizzing by, but I actually appreciated it, other than her being admirative of his figure. But yeah, it was just getting too sexualized, and just the content was not to my liking. Also, I realized if I was calling her Niam, it's Neve. It's one of those names that doesn't look like it's pronounced, so Neve. And I'm like, that is Niam. I do have a few other notes. So, I was interested by the Lady Whistleton, or Weaselton, I think that's from Zootopia. Anyway, like the society whistleblower. It wasn't showing up lots, it was sort of mentioned once, and then it's on the blurb. I was waiting for it to come in and be interesting, but it hadn't by the 20% mark. Everyone in this book is so emotional. Even the bloke who's meant to be, like, not wanting to feel emotions is totally feeling emotions. He's so grumpy and so angry at the world, and none of them possess any emotional regulation. They just feel whatever they feel, and they let it out at other people. And our main character, Neve, even admits that she cries whenever she's stressed or angry. She is always stressed and angry in this scenario, and so she does a lot of crying, or, oh, I'm so on the brim of tears, and I'm like, just maybe need some therapy, or some, like, I don't know, just some regulation of your emotions, just a little bit. I saw one comment saying there was no swearing. There is swearing in it. So I would have enjoyed it. I like the premise of it. If it had been a true YA without all the other stuff going on, I would have read it all the way through. But yeah, there's just too much stuff that I'm not comfortable reading. So it was a good thing I didn't choose this book for the journey through the Bible in the end. So the foresight I had to look at if it did have any content, well done. God-given, because I don't usually do that. It's a DNF at 20-ish% for that one, which means we can just move on to our next library book. This one will just go back, and this is why we don't purchase books before we read them. Which brings us to A Girl's Guide to the Outback by Jessica Kate. I haven't read any, so I don't have any updates for this one. So we're going on to the Christian book, which hopefully, and I'm pretty much guaranteed, has no sexualized content, hopefully. You'd think so. I'm so sorry. But I am 5 pages into this book, and I do not understand why romance authors do this, but the male main character just entered the scene, and of course, you know, he's got the tan skin, he's got the impressive biceps, and he's carrying a kid, and he's got golden curls, and this sentence, I don't even know how you can type this sentence out without feeling the cringe. But also, it doesn't even make any sense to me. So, this sentence is, Kimberly's uterus did a backflip of approval. What does that even mean? Fair enough, I am a single Pringle, but never in all my years have I looked at anyone and had anything remotely close. I can't even imagine how that would feel. It made me stop the book, unless it's like a last response, but that just, no, even then. So, we're getting off to a rocky start. Let's just... Why would you even write that? Anyway, so we're going to continue with this bloke, and our girl is already upset with the main character and thinks that he's out to make her life miserable. I don't even know what his issue is. It doesn't deserve all this angst. She's about to threaten him, and I need to find new and inventive ways to threaten Sam. That doesn't sound very Christian of you. It doesn't even sound like a good person of you. I'm not even a chapter in, guys, so I've got another 6 pages before I end the chapter. Is this going to be another DNF? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if there's any more lines like that. We might. She just said that on a good day, she thinks his eyes are like the greatest thing on earth, and when it's a bad day, she thinks they're the colours of some foster dog's poop. I'm sorry, what? Also, they're arguing without knowing each other at all. They're meant to have worked together for like 3 years or something. And obviously, in those 3 years, our bloke has made assumptions without ever talking to our girl. And our girl has obviously, I don't know, she's been supporting his career or his mission, but he's just had in mind that she has alternate motives. So he's like, oh, not this girl again. And it's clearly untrue because you know reasons that he doesn't know. And so they dislike each other. Even though she's like, I admire this bloke, but he's so irritating. And meanwhile, he's just like, oh, this woman. I was so attracted, but at the same time, my gosh, how flippin' annoying is she? So anyway, I am going to push through. to the 20% mark. I'm no quitter. I'm no quitter. I'll push through to the 20% mark at least. Now, I do disclaim because I do not like enemies to lovers. And I don't usually like snarky, like, rivals to lovers either. I just don't like the snark and the mean-heartedness in it. The assumptions that are made when they haven't even spoken to them. If you haven't sat down and asked the questions about the subject, or, I don't know, gotten to know the person, you don't have any right to make assumptions about what they're thinking or what their motivation is if you've never bothered to inquire. That is my hot take, because so many people do it, and so many of them just build a false person. Like, the real person's here, and they're like, this is the person. And I'm like, no, have you asked them about all those subjects? They're like, no. They just give me the vibes that they think all these things. 20% mark. I'll probably end up DNFing, to be honest. But who knows, maybe a miracle will happen. And I'll love the book. So I've reached the 22% mark, and I have decided to DNF. A Girl's Guide to the Outback by Jessica Kate. I've decided to DNF it for a lot of reasons. So I read to the 22% mark, and then I skipped to, I don't know what mark it would have been. I checked in again at, like, the 310 mark. And I just read until, I didn't even get to the end because I was just so annoyed by it. I don't know where the faith content is meant to be in this. It says that Sam's calling and, God giving him a nudge towards his ministry. And I didn't feel like he had much passion at all for the ministry, really. The characters were so annoying, or every single one of them, but mainly Samuel Peyton. Or Sam, the main character. I liked Joyce, who was, like, his sister, but she does read a lot younger than she is. But then, at the same time, she also leads on and breaks the heart of a man she loves. And it's just like, why? It's just dysfunctional families all over the place. Yeah, God is mentioned several times, but really, But there's one bit in this where they pretty much say that Sam is the only person who can help the organization. And I was like, if he's the only person on earth who can help you, that points to a much deeper problem within the church and within your organization, if he's the only one that can help you succeed in any of your ministries. And also, they mention the workload they want this chaplain or youth pastor to do. And I'm like, no wonder nobody wants to do that. That's the problem with so many, like, organizations or Christian ones and outside. They burn out their employees. Even the most dedicated, passionate person needs help and not to be worked to death. Exasperates me even more when it's in the name of a Christian company. You're meant to care for each other. It's meant to be this relationship. Yes, you can help that person utilize their gifts, but they're not meant to do it all on their own. Give them a break. Sam's whole thing about the main girl, Kimberly, every thought he has in positive to do with her is just, she pushes me to do so much. She challenges me. And I hate when all they can think of that they like about that person is what that person can do for me. What that person makes me feel. What that person can serve me and my purpose. Whenever he looks at her otherwise, no interest in her. He really only sees her as this confident, non-cowardly person that he is not, and so he really looks at it with exasperation for a lot of the book. Pretty much all the book I read, and really he hadn't done much changing in between. Big point, she wastes brownies. She's sitting at the airport waiting for her mum. She's got these brownies. Granted, they are sugar-free brownies. Like, bad choices there, but, whatever. And then her mum doesn't show up, so she takes this perfectly good plate of brownies and tosses it in the bin. What did those brownies ever do? Eat the brownies if you're emotional about your mum, not turning up. Eat them. Don't toss them in the bin. Don't waste food. The Kimberly's uterus did a backflip of approval. Call me a prude, but that's a bit weird for a Christian fiction to have in it. Sam's eyes, the colour of fudge sauce, or her foster dog's poop, depending on her mood, focused on her face. I hate poop humour. Okay, I do. I don't put star ratings on the ones I DNF because I figure I just didn't read it all, but I feel like I did read it all and it was not worth even picking up. I did notice that Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails had read it and she didn't especially enjoy it, so I hadn't seen that before I picked it up, but trust our opinion. not worth picking up. So now I don't know quite what we're going to do. Do I pick up another book for this vlog? Just, I need something that's not a DNF after 2 in a row. Both from the library. It's not the library's fault. It's the fact that the books I happened to pick up from the library weren't to my taste. Hello. Okay, so this has become a bit of a mess of a video simply because, well, it was meant to be a library reading video, and as you can tell, we did kind of fail with the first 2 books. Since then, I have picked up Katherine Center's The Bodyguard, which is a modern-day romance. It's got the bodyguard and celebrity trope in it, and so I picked this up from the library. And I didn't film any of my reading it. To be honest, I just devoured it in around a day, and to be honest, most of it was just wrapped up in bed reading. So I did start and I did end it. So finally we got one that I picked up that wasn't a complete fail. Obviously Katherine Center's books have been all over the internet, especially this one, The Bodyguard. I found out that it has no explicit scenes in it, and so I decided I would try it out. There is swearing in it. There are references to, obviously, the people doing the deed, or side characters doing the deed, and there are high chemistry moments, but otherwise, yeah, there's no explicit scenes. So that much was true. So in this one, we are following, oh my goodness, where's the blurb? I keep forgetting her name because it's mine. So Hannah is in this bodyguard, like secret service, not secret service, but yeah, protection agency. And she recently, her mum died, and then you find out near the very beginning of the book that her boyfriend may not want to be with her anymore anyway, and she is up against this boyfriend for some spot on some job overseas, and she's like, I want to go, and they're like, well, no, you gotta compete for it, you gotta, and I was like, oh my goodness. But before they can do that, she is assigned to a Jack Stapleton, who is a household name supposedly, but he has been out of the business for a bit. He's an actor, and so I don't know how that works because he hasn't been working, but people still love him and you know, stalk him. The problem is he has stalkers, and so they bring in our girl to protect him while he's at home for a family emergency scare situation. I ended up enjoying it. We went in just thinking it was a rom-com, which it was. As I say, I wouldn't say it's not clean, as they call it, but it is no spice. It is only one point of view. You only get Hannah's point of view, and I would have just liked to see some in Jack's point of view. I think his backstory and scenes would have hit a little bit more, but I think Katherine does right only in like the first person point of view, the female's point of view. But yeah, it wasn't anything too serious. I really didn't attach myself to any of Hannah's side, and some of her emotional moments, I don't know, it was weirdly disconnected, but you still had emotion. And then yeah, her whole work situation, honestly, I'd just quit. I would quit because none of them were really winning me over. And then we have Jack, who's a sweetie pie. He's gone through a lot in the past, and you find out all the little backstory for him, which I knew there had to be something. There had to be something behind him. But yeah, you only get it through him telling the main girl. So I feel like it could have been hard hitting if we got his side. But that being said, it was funny. It was lighthearted, and yeah. So I gave it a 4 stars. So we finally got a library book that I didn't hate. I think the end message was that you can find a good book at the library. No, I know you can, but I just haven't had much luck, obviously, in this video. Anyway, so I thought I'd wrap it up with telling you I did find a good one, because otherwise it was going to be a very down video, wasn't it? So I will be using the library in the future. I will try to find better books than I have. But for now, that's a wrap on this very strange little vlog. I hope you enjoyed the chaos that ensued. And until next time, peace.
티니 로그 끝.